everyone, join me again, Indria Wahyuni. I'm happy today to be able to share thoughts on issues of climate change and its relation to agriculture policy. Today, I would like to focus on climate rights, something that probably you heard of it, and how exercising this right will support good agricultural policy, particularly climate-smart agriculture. I'm delighted to be here and welcome any comments, critics, insights, and further discussion on this topic. Please feel free to reach out to me. My contact details are provided at the end of the presentation, of course. Everyone, in this video, I would like to discuss climate rights, focusing on how to draw borderline of climate rights and the implementation of climate-smart agriculture. Before starting our discussion, I would like to express my deepest appreciation to Philerus Project. This course is funded by Philerus, an academic partnership between VUB and Universitas Airlangga. Sharing minds, changing lives. Continuing from our last discussion talked detail on climate-smart agriculture. Today, I would like to do simple elaboration on climate rights and what is different between climate rights and environmental rights. I argue that the climate rights should be translated wider than only as environmental rights. I would like to pose a crucial question: how to define climate rights and how it will support the implementation of climate-smart agriculture. Study shows that empowering women farmers and providing them access to decision-making process within a climate-smart agriculture framework significantly contributes to achieving several SDGs, particularly SDGs 2, Zero Hunger, SDG 5, Gender Equity, SDG 13, Climate Action, and SDG 15, Life on Land. Further study on rights to a safe climate provide light to ensure the achievement of those SDGs, especially good agriculture policy. So, today's course structure is as follows: climate rights and a bit about climate-smart agriculture. Ladies and gentlemen, our discussion starting with the concept of energy trilemma. This concept, I believe you heard this concept. This is a concept that brought environmental sustainability as one of the center of policy and attention, including in the climate action. How to reach environmental sustainability? That is an important question that needs to be considered. The discussion on climate-smart agriculture as one of the method to do so has been discussed in detail in my previous course. So I encourage you to see the course and review it. As we know, currently we are witnessing a global failure to meet climate goals. This chart presenting figures of greenhouse gas emission. We all know that we need global net zero. UN has set up several strategies for that. There are so many reports, even conference of parties, that deals with strategy to reach the purpose. However, instead of reduction in global greenhouse gas emission, which needed by 2030 from 2010 levels to keep warming to no more than 1.5 degrees Celsius, we need to reduce minus 45%. Unfortunately, we're facing increase in global greenhouse gas emissions projected by 2030 compared to 2010, based on available national action plans. We get extra positive 9%. So this is kind of paradox to what we think we will reach. Therefore, we need more urgent and more hard actions in order to achieve what we want as global net zero. I'm sure we all agree that climate change affects us, especially in recent and future generations. We're facing hotter worlds depends on our climate policy. It is no question that now we're facing a climate that we cannot predict. Sometimes we can have a hot season, but definitely we can mix the season just only in a day. So we're facing a hotter world now. So in that condition, we need to take quick actions to level up to bring down the global temperature change over the years. So how to do it? I'm sure you have heard about environmental rights. It's something that you can search and Google, and also there are a lot of literature that talks about environmental rights. But have you heard about climate rights? Do you think climate rights is part of environmental rights? Or you think it is a different and separated rights that we need to advocate and to be an independent rights? Let's see. Climate rights are often overlooked in legal discourse and subsumed under a broader category of environmental rights, thereby limiting their normative scope. Our study seeks to reconstruct that perspective by arguing for the independent recognition of climate rights as distinct form and not merely derivative of environmental rights. The fact that we're facing now climate rights is not clearly mentioned in various international environmental law. Current global commitments discuss environmental rights and tend to limit the environmental rights into procedural environmental rights and health rights. Similarly, international environmental law, which is international treaties, both in environment field from Stockholm Declaration, Rio Declaration, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change until today Conference of Parties, not defined clearly about climate rights. International treaties in human rights and climate change areas do not define the rights to a safe climate, neglecting the human dimension of climate change and hence guaranteeing little effective legal protection. Even though the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, which we call UNFCCC, and the Paris Agreement recognize climate change as a common concern of mankind, these treaties address the negative impact of climate change on individuals and their rights very generally, only in the preambles. The impact of climate change on the legal and factual situation of people is usually considered at the UN through the lens of vulnerability, which justifies analysis based on the treaty's legal and human basis. So what about in Indonesia? I'll take you to Indonesia context about climate rights. So in order to analyze how environmental rights as well as climate rights recognized in Indonesia, I take you to read our Article 28 of our constitutions, as well as Law number 32 2009 about environmental protection and management. Article 28H, para 1 of the Indonesian Constitution enshrines the right to a good and healthy environment and the right to access health services, creating a crucial link between environment and healthy rights. Meanwhile, Law number 32 of 2009 on environmental protection and management, which we usually call environmental law, embodies Indonesia's green constitution approach through two key mechanisms: green legislation and green budgeting. We can refer this to Article 45, Paragraph 1, Law number 32 2009 on environment. Green legislation integrates ecological consideration into the legislative process, ensuring environmental interests align with constitutional interests and constitutional rights. Yet, the environmental law lacks clear definition or boundaries for environmental rights, reflecting the broad perspective of Article 28H, Paragraph 1 of our Constitution. This ambiguity again raises critical questions in the context of the climate crisis, such as whether the rights to a safe climate is inherently included within environmental rights and whether national legislation provides sufficient parameters to enforce these rights effectively. The absence of these parameters undermines public efforts to challenge environmentally harmful policies. Examples including mining license in Kalimantan that result in degraded mining sites and harm local communities, as well as recurrent forest fire that cause severe air pollution. Numerous activities have caused significant environmental damage. We all agree that. I can take you an example of Koto Panjang hydropower plant case in Rio 1985, forest fires and peatland destruction in Kalimantan, in central Kalimantan from September 1997 to June 1998, or our famous Sidoarjo mud flow disaster in 2006, and just recently the ongoing food estate projects in Kalimantan and Papua, which is conducted from 2021 to present. This action, which contribute directly or indirectly to climate crisis, could be classified as ecocide. However, there remain no clear legal consequences for such environmental destruction. The growing urgency of climate action necessitates a legal framework that explicitly recognizes and enforces the right to a safe climate, ensuring accountability for the policies that degrade the environment and violate fundamental rights. Our study also looked at court decisions. I would like to highlight 3 court decisions that closely related to a right to a safe climate, which brought to the court. First case, Samarinda District Court Decision number 55/PDTG 2013/PNSMDA from Samarinda District Court 2013, which brought by Komari and others sued the mayor of Samarinda, alleging negligence in supervising mining license, which contribute to climate change related impacts from mining activities such as flooding and droughts. Second case, you can also check Palangkaraya District Court Decision number 118/PDTG/LH 2016/PNPLK Palangkaraya District Court 2016, which brought by Ari Rompas and others, sued the government for failing to address forest and land fires in central Kalimantan, citing a lack of implementing regulation under the environmental law and inadequate legal framework for managing forest, land, and plantation. And last, I would like to draw your attention to Central Jakarta District Court decision number 374/PDTG/LH 2019 from our Central Jakarta District Court 2019, which brought by Melanie Subono and others, filed a lawsuit against the government for failing to address severe air pollution in Jakarta, arguing insufficient measures such as revising regulations, setting air quality standards, and developing strategic plans. I would like to highlight that these three cases demonstrate a consistent pattern of alleged government inaction, including inadequate supervisions of licenses, failure to anticipate environmental impact, insufficient air quality control, lack of transparency, and limited access to information. Those failures resulted in environmental degradation, flooding, drought, health issues, and non-compliance with environmental standards, which collectively reflected unfulfilled rights to a healthy environment, life, water, housing, child rights, and access to information. So, what's happening and why I'll take agriculture as one of the main discussion. So, we all know changing climate, our climate problem at least influence five fields. It could be influence in environmental as a general, changing weather, we're facing water scarcity, also we're facing animal and human degradation rights and the life conditions. One of it is we have agriculture field as one of the most impacted field from the climate change. This is in line with what we found in World Bank Just Transition concept in 2021-2025 climate action plans that provide 5 system transitions that need to be prioritized in order to reach just transition. Number 1, energy. Number 2, agriculture, food, water, and land. Number 3, cities. And number 4, transport, as well as number 5, manufacturing. So, providing good agriculture policy is very, very important. How to do so? Why we need to have a good agriculture? This is a figure that talk about agriculture outlook 2024 until 2033, which mention how agriculture commodities used by the people, the population. It shows that agriculture communities used by all population, either from high income countries to low income countries. So how to improve our agriculture? In our previous class, in our previous course and talk, I discussed a bit about, I discussed in detail about what we have in climate smart agriculture. Agriculture use around 38% of the global area, with 1/3 of this land under crop cultivation and the remaining used as livestock pasture. Land conversion from natural ecosystem to agriculture has been the primary source of indirect greenhouse gas emission from the agriculture sector. We can reach this climate smart agriculture with the perspective of how to do an integrated approach to managing landscape, cropland, livestock, forests, and fisheries that address the interlinked challenge of food security and climate change. Climate smart agriculture is a set of agricultural practices and technology which simultaneously boost productivity, enhance resilience, and reduce greenhouse gas emission. Could be a synergy between productivity, how to do adaptation, and as well as mitigation. There is a concept so-called triple win CSA. Triple win CSA is part of holistic approach from upstream to downstream to achieve food security, promoting sustainable development, and addressing climate change. This triple win CSA conducted to three things. First, increase productivity. How to do that? Produce more and higher quality food without putting an additional strain on natural resources to improve nutrition security and boost income, especially for around 75% of the world's poor who live in rural areas and mainly rely on agriculture for their livelihoods. Enhance resilience. How to do so? Reduce vulnerability to droughts, pests, and disease and other climate-related risks and shocks, and improve the capacity to adapt and grow in the face of longer-term stress like increased seasonal variability and more erratic weather patterns. And the last, we talk about reducing emission. It means that we reduce greenhouse gas emission of the food system, avoid deforestation due to cropland expansion, and increase the carbon sequestration of plants and soil. So, how climate rights could support the achievement of climate smart agriculture? I put the definition, I put my study thoughts of how to distinguish environmental law and climate rights in this chart. In a traditional mindset, we talk about environmental law, where we put climate rights as part of environmental law. Nevertheless, as we know, environmental law is limited as a procedural rights or health rights. In the other hand, we still have other rights such as rights to live, which is from clean water, food security, energy security, and etc. We also have property rights for land and house, and also we have human dignity, which is the most important of all. Is our rights, our human rights, to have clean and healthy environment, sanitation, and justice. So, with understanding climate rights as more wider rights and not limited as only health rights or procedural rights, we can support climate smart agriculture to grow and to be implemented and not stuck only in environmental rights. The boundaries of climate smart agriculture could be supported in its implementation when the government also acknowledge climate rights and implemented as a wider rights to that fulfill what we need as a human, what we need to have a human dignity. When we have a good sanitation, for example, when we have a clean and healthy environment, when we have an access and energy security or food security, and we have a clean water. In this concept, then smart agriculture will achieve, and our goal to have the climate mitigation and fulfilling climate rights also achieved. So, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to conclude my discussion here. It is a thought that we can discuss it further. I'm trying to make a beautiful article that trying to provide discussion, pro cons, that elaborate what is a climate rights. So I'm trying to questioning human role in that. by using anthropocentrism perspective. This idea could be developed further when you put human dignity inside of the concept. I'm happy to be provide you with more discussion on that. Feel free to reach me anytime if you have a similar interest on this topic. Thank you so much for participating in this online course. I hope this small talk has sparked new ideas, provide valuable insight, and been useful to you. Of course, I put some of the further materials and also a follow-up discussion and a link how to recognize rights to a safe climate could be related to agriculture policies and how this one could be involved in more stakeholder, and the idea of climate smart agriculture could be achieved. This some of additional materials related to the topic that you might find helpful. Okay, so I look forward to seeing you again in our next session. We can explore various topics related to this, and I really love to quote Antonio Guterres as a Secretary General of the UN, which said that the world must rise to the challenge of rising temperatures. Please feel free to contact me. That's my email address here. If you have a similar research interest, comments, insight, or if you are interested in academic collaboration on this topic, I'm open to all those possibilities. And then goodbye for now and see you next time.